WCW Monday Nitro 171, December 21st, 1998. So there's a recap of the Outsiders arriving and Eric Bischoff joining the NWO and all the evil things he's done. And all this did was remind me that the NWO is now going on for 2.5 years.
It's weird. They started showing the video package with Hall and Nash showing up, and it was one of those deals where I thought I watched the wrong show.
Yeah.
And then the video package keeps going, and there's Reed and David Flair.
Yes,
and I'm like, I surely watched the wrong show. But it turns out that was on Thunder.
Apparently on Thunder, they beat up the Flair boys.
And then Eric kissed Flair's wife.
Which number was that?
I think 2.
Okay.
So, as Brian noted, you're trying to win a wrestling war. You want eyeballs. You want people to stop up the channel and stay in your screen. So what do? You put Fit Finlay and Scott Putski in the ring for 15 minutes.
I think the idea was that Putski was local, and the fans would like to see him go in there and do real good against Fit Finlay. I think that was the idea.
Okay.
Fuck that idea. Like, it's still Fit Finlay versus Scott Putski, and you're on national television.
I described it like this. The match was okay, but it was okay for 15 minutes.
Yeah. That's not okay, though.
Exactly.
That's the problem.
Yeah.
And they just did hold after hold after hold after hold. To their credit, the crowd got into Putski.
This is what I
when
realized.
He started his comeback.
Fit Finlay, I've said this before, the most underrated wrestler of the Monday Night Wars. People were into Scott Putski's comeback.
Yeah.
In a 15-minute match. They'd just sit there forever. In the opener, they'd seen nothing yet.
My big problem came when they're doing all these moves, and it's time for a commercial break.
I see where you're going.
And they go to commercial, okay? Now, the good news is it wasn't right after a dive. They just went to commercial during one of the 5,000 holds in this match. They come back, and both men are standing in the middle of the ring, and Finlay wants a handshake.
They just start over.
They literally started over again. This was 25 minutes of the program in real time. Scott Putski versus Fit Finlay.
And then, Putski missed a Polish hammer. Finlay hit the rolling fireman's carry and a tombstone for the win. There you go.
I was pretty mad, but I was doing okay now. I was doing all right.
Like maybe something exciting, interesting will happen.
Sure, I was like, something weird just happened, but
at the end,
there's 2.5 hours left. Let's see what happens.
At the end, the mid-card guy beat the bottom of the card guy, and this 15, 20, 25, whatever it was, established nothing.
So, as I noted, it's 25 minutes into the show. The show began with a recap of the Eric Bischoff Ric Flair thing. They air a 15-minute Scott Putski match, and when it's over, they aired the Eric Bischoff Ric Flair recap again.
Mm-hmm.
Are you absolutely kidding me?
By the way, in that 15-minute Scott Putski match, the announcers very casually mentioned, yes, fans, Ric Flair did have a heart attack on live TV next week, but he will still be competing at Starrcade. Well,
they didn't quite say that. They said the match is still on. We'll see if he can compete.
Uh-huh.
Yes. So for those of you that don't remember, the storyline was supposed to be that Eric Bischoff poisoned Ric Flair. But then they realized that's stupid.
It's also criminal.
This fucking company realized that's stupid. And so now, he's back. So they didn't even bother to explain it.
No. By the way, they showed more of the angle with the David and Reed Flair on Thunder. You remember your reaction to the referee who had no reaction when Saturn hit him with the DVD?
Yes.
Reed Flair, the same reaction to David Flair getting chokeslammed.
Well, what's he going to do?
Well, it is his older brother.
That crossed my mind too. He's probably happy about it. He probably paid Bryan Adams off to do this. Now, you're trying to win a wrestling war. We need to establish this, folks. This is life and death. They are fighting for their careers. And in the end, they lost, and WCW has lost its career. So you've done a 15-minute match with Scott Putski. How should we follow this up? If you voted, let's do an angle with Cat and Santa Claus, you may work for WCW. the Cat comes out for a promo, talking about how great he is, daring fans to fight him. Santa Claus appears in the aisle throwing candy to children. Because that's what Santa does, is throws candy. Cat dares Santa Claus to get in the ring. Tony explains Cat has been beating up Santa Claus on house shows around the region.
Really? I didn't know that.
That's what he said.
Schiavone
God
said.
damn, that's news to me.
Cat throws a punch. Santa ducks it, hits a pair of suplexes. He begins to disrobe. He's in the middle. He doesn't even. He still has half the costume and makeup on. They're able to establish it's Saturn, and then it's to the break. Like, he still has the beard and the nose.
Man, half Saturn, half Santa was a monstrosity. You thought the guy was ugly before. I mean, put a beard on him and white
And that
eyebrows.
nose, yeah.
Oh, my God. It's horrifying. And then, 30 minutes in real time since the show began, they air the Nitro Open.
Yeah.
Because legally, you must air the Open at some point on the program.
Huh.
With the show officially underway, I guess, it's time for the opener. Kaz Hayashi.
It's not the opener.
I'm
Well, they just
speaking
did the
sarcastically.
opening.
I see.
Yeah. Kaz Hayashi versus Chavo Guerrero Jr.
I mean, I could have understood if you would have forgotten the Putski match by now, but
So,
Chavo's got his stick horse.
Did you watch this one?
I watched the end of it. I
You
was
missed
so mad. I
missed
just
absolutely
skipped
nothing.
past the
They had,
stick horse.
they had a fast-paced 3-minute match. Chavo won with a tornado DDT. Yippee.
I used to really like Kaz Hayashi until I started watching him again.
I'm sure it'll pick up.
Okay.
I'm not. Why? Why would it?
I don't know. I was trying to,
The company's going to get better.
I was trying to
They're
be
going to
nice.
devote more time to the cruiserweights later.
The Young Dragons did some fun stuff.
Vinny was trying to be Mr. Brightside.
Yes.
Why? Never has before.
That's
Somebody's got to. I'll never make it through the show. They replayed the Goldberg-Nash-Bigelow angle from last week, including, once again, Terry Taylor promising nobody will run in. Mm-hmm. And then they showed Scott Hall running in. Liar.
God, why would you air that in the recap?
Because they're
Just to
WCW.
further piss people
That's
off
a great question, actually.
and just tell them don't believe anything that we say because it's all bullshit. Here comes Kevin Nash.
That's your segue.
First off, what was it? A jersey?
yes. It was
God
a,
damn,
it was
this
a
was-
Dale Earnhardt jersey.
This Dale
I
Earnhardt
see.
jersey was so atrocious, and he tucks it into his fucking jeans,
Well.
which are hiked up. He's doing the duck face that teenage girls do for selfies nowadays. Fucking walks down to the ring and just
Trendsetter.
leans on the ropes and
Makes
does
his face
this-
look thinner, I think.
promo about Goldberg where I swear to God, he brags about his own WWF championship reign. The fucking worst championship reign of the modern era of any import. He's talking about how it's a big deal.
Well, you see, Brian. He defended that title 190 times and never lost.
197.
So that streak is more impressive than Goldberg's streak of a mere 173 wins.
Yeah, he's an idiot.
Now, when you mentioned Goldberg the first time, it was roundly booed.
They booed Goldberg's name.
It did. Now, later in the promo, there was a Goldberg chant. So he still had his supporters, but there was, in fact, a strong anti-Goldberg contingent, at least in St. Louis.
Gee, I wonder why. Let's take a guy, and it's a certain way to book him, and then let's just stop and see what happens.
So Nash wishes Flair well, then steals his line of saying, to be the man, you got to beat the man. And Goldberg, on Saturday night, I'm going to kick your ass. I
Hey.
thought this was a hell of a promo.
The final line was great. I wasn't down with the rest of it. Listen, I was there through his WWF title run. That was so stupid. He mentions WWF so people cheer on a WCW show.
The Nitro Girls danced, which I mentioned because they had a new member this week named Storm, who would later gain greater fame as Her Royal Majesty Queen Charmel.
Wow.
Raven and Canyon. Okay,
Can I read the first line of my review?
if you want to.
Fuck my life.
Wow.
That's where I really hit the wall. Right here in this segment.
It's been, I guess, only 2 weeks, but Raven's mother. There's nowhere in this brain of mine, not one gray cell, retained any memory of Raven's mom being a regular character on Nitro.
I wrote a fucking book about this. Then I wrote an expanded book about this. Then I created an audiobook. I have no memory whatsoever of this fucking bullshit storyline. It's got to be over this week, right? There's no way it goes longer.
Mrs. Levy, you don't think she hangs out for another month?
I've heard the name Mama Raven.
Dude.
So Raven says, my mom's only here to get on TV. She saw Judy Bagwell win a tag team championship. She figures she can spear Goldberg and win the world title.
Well, logically, she's not wrong.
I just love that Raven is openly burying the other WCW storylines, because why not?
Why wouldn't he?
They're awful.
Well, exactly. Why wouldn't you? All those things he said happened.
I know. That's what makes it so great. The only great thing about this.
I think that Judy Bagwell is still one half of the tag team champions. Am I wrong?
To my knowledge, yes, but yeah.
She was never pinned. I know that.
So, Raven, Kanyon says something smart. Raven starts beating him up. Here's Mama Raven to the rescue, flying herself in the Learjet to Nitros all over the country just to try and see her son Scotty. And she pleads with him to stop. Something's wrong. You need to come home. You need to see your doctor. Raven said, fine. They all left together. This is so bad.
Let me tell you something. When she said, you've got to come home, and he said, I don't want to, and she says, no, you got to come home, and he goes, fine, and starts walking in the back. Geek of the millennia. Okay? Nothing compares to this. I have never, ever, how did he survive this? I mean,
He's a very
it must have been
talented man.
because nobody else remembered this.
That's true.
Because that's a career killer right there. That is a career killer. This segment here on this show.
She also said that he needs to go back to therapy. He needs to see his doctor, and this, that, and the other thing. Are you getting the impression that she was trying to drag him to rehab?
Fuck if I know. Who cares?
Because his gimmick is that he is an addict.
Is it? We don't know.
Well, every time he comes into the ring, he sits in the corner, he rubs the inside of his arm like he's been shooting up.
he's depressed.
Yes, his gimmick is he's a whiner.
Yeah, he's depressed. I mean, he's just itchy.
He may or may not be using as well.
So he needs Ritalin.
He's more
What he
drugs.
needs is to get the fuck off my TV. I'm sick of this shit.
Bischoff comes out for a promo.
I was initially furious. It's like we're following up Raven's mother with more Eric Bischoff. But I was wrong.
So what happened was, as Bischoff is running his mouth, the Horsemen are running wild backstage. But the funny thing was, they apparently either forgot to or just chose not to put any of the Horseman stuff on the big screen.
No. It was on the big screen. He had to pretend he couldn't see it. And it was a giant screen.
If that's the case, why did none of the fans react either?
Well, they were cheering.
They cheered when Flair arrived on stage. But when they were backstage beating up Scott Norton and putting him through a wall, the crowd didn't react much at all.
I'll try and go back. I think it was on the screen.
So,
But there was also only one. Anyway, can I mention one thing about his promo before the Horsemen came out?
sure.
So, correct me if I'm wrong. Last week, Flair has an alleged heart attack. Eric Bischoff comes out, and he's really, really sad about it. Now he's out here celebrating it. Is this just because it was I guess if you watch Thunder, he beat up the kids and kissed the wife. I don't know. I'm overthinking this.
You are.
What changed?
They woke up Tuesday and said, hey, let's not have...
Why was
everyone
he
be
so
sad.
sad last week? If he was just diabolical the whole time and it was... What's going on?
Maybe he was still going to be poisoned by that point and they wanted to throw him... He wanted to throw the cops off the scent.
Oh, I see.
Had to feign sadness. And, anyway, so Flair comes charging down the aisle. Place goes crazy at that point. And he chases Bischoff out of the building, out by the semi-trucks. Fans are demanding Flair. We want Flair. We want Flair. So he returns. He cuts a great promo in the middle of 29,000 screaming St. Louis people. On the graves of Dick the Bruiser, on the grave of Bruiser Brody, I promise that Bischoff will die if I get my hands on him.
Bischoff and Wyndham.
And Wyndham.
Yeah, they will die in this arena if he gets his hand on them.
We got his hands on Wyndham, and Wyndham didn't die.
This was a great promo. And it was like 2 sentences.
And it was not his best promo of the show.
And listen, I may be in the minority here, but so far, his late 90s promos are way better than his mid-80s promos.
He has been on a roll with the Bischoff stuff.
Holy smokes.
He's found his muse.
He found a motive.
Exactly. He's found a motivation.
Well, I mean, his 80s motive was chicks and being Ric Flair. I mean, that was real.
Yes, but now it's death.
Now it's hating Eric Bischoff. Maybe that's why it's better. He's angry now. DDP Giant video package. Liz Mark Jr. versus Wrath.
Why?
Wrath beat the hell out of him on the floor and won with a meltdown in like 2 minutes.
Cool.
Nitro party clips. They went bowling. You know that video the WWE always shows about please don't try this at home?
Right.
Here was a highlight reel of people trying this at home.
It's true.
Doing like DDTs and torture racks at the bowling alley.
On the alley.
Yeah.
And then at one point they put a kid on a dolly and bowled him down the alley.
That's
A
also
bunch
true.
of idiots.
Which I want to try sometime.
Eddie Guerrero versus Rey Mysterio Jr.
You know, these guys have had some matches that have kind of sucked. A lot of holds and shit.
Sure.
Well, I guess they decided here, those matches suck. Let's actually have a good one
Let's
for
go
once.
yes.
Right.
They have this fucking great match. One of the best Nitro matches in months.
Absolutely.
Eddie's beating his ass, tearing at his mask. They're tearing it up. Great comeback, high flying. All of a sudden, the ref takes a bump. Kidman runs down and jumps up on the apron.
Possibly too soon.
He acts like he's going to hit Eddie. He hits Ray. Eddie pins him. Now, none of us here have seen this. None of us are old enough. There's a very famous moment when Ivan Koloff beat Bruno Sammartino in Madison Square Garden. And Bruno thought that he'd gone deaf when he took the flying knee. But what actually happened was the fans just went deadly silent when he got pinned and lost the title.
Wow.
That's what fucking happened here. These fans were so into this match. They're all excited. They're cheering. They get this fucking finish, and they just went silent. They did not boo. They did not cheer. They just were like, what? That's the fucking finish in this match? Fuck you. That's what they were thinking here. That's what I was thinking.
Yeah.
It was bizarre.
You're not wrong.
Wonky finish aside, this is very good pro wrestling and better than anything on Clash of Champions.
Oh, yeah.
Scott Steiner came out for a promo.
What Vinny is about to say is 100% true.
I didn't write down everything he said.
You don't need to. All you need to do is tell everybody they called out Mark McGuire.
That part, yes.
It was Buff Bagwell. And then they made a bunch of steroid jokes.
Right.
Scott Steiner. Scott Matthew Steiner, whatever the hell his name is. He made fun of a professional athlete for using performance-enhancing substances. Muscle builders.
Creatine?
Androstenedione
Okay.
was all the rage in the late 90s in the baseball era.
Scott's Carl Recksteiner.
Thank you.
Carl?
Carl.
Scott Carl Recksteiner
Yes.
accused another man of taking a shortcut for
What are you
for better
insinuating,
muscle mass.
Vinny? The man is clean.
Well, he must be.
He's a very hard worker.
I would never accuse Scott Carl Recksteiner of being a hypocrite.
Well, now Robert Recksteiner, his brother, doesn't have a middle name.
Maybe it's Bert.
No, it's
Rob Bert Recksteiner.
No, it's Vinny. It's just Robert Recksteiner. He
Is
has
it Rex
no
with a
middle
W?
name. No, with a CH.
Oh.
What do you mean with a W?
You said Robert Carl. What'd you say?
Recksteiner.
Their last
Rex.
name is Recksteiner.
Recksteiner. That's not a W. That's an X, you idiot.
R-E-C-H.
I thought he had two
Steiner.
middle names, like Rex.
Get out of here.
That's what.
Scott Carl Recksteiner.
He's got four uncles. I don't know.
His last name is Recksteiner, not Steiner. Steiner's a fake name.
What? In wrestling?
Regardless, they
sick
tried to burn the Mark McGuire jersey here in St. Louis. It would not light on fire. It went into business for itself.
Yeah, oddly enough, the wrestlers don't know how to use a lighter. What?
They eventually got it on fire inside a trash can. This all made TV. Norman Smiley versus Prince Iaukea. Did we mention, Brian, this company's trying to win a wrestling war?
Did we mention this is the go-home show for Starcade?
Iaukea used a shell shock. Now you know where Ryback got it. Norman won with a crossface chicken wing.
God, you know, I noticed this before, but like everybody has one weird wrestler that's their favorite.
Sure.
Wonder if that was seriously like Ryback's favorite wrestler when he was a kid. Prince fucking Iaukea.
I've heard stranger things.
Yeah, like next up, Barry Windham versus Hammer. There ain't much weirder than that, dude.
Well, it didn't go very long. It went 30 seconds. Flair came screaming out to attack Wyndham for the DQ.
And I gotta say, Flair in his promo earlier swore on the graves of Dick the Bruiser and Bruiser Brody or whoever it was that if he got his hands on Barry Windham or Eric Bischoff, he would kill them in this arena. I thought, man, that's a serious threat. He maybe shouldn't have said kill. Well, he fucking comes out here and tries to kill Barry Windham. He beat the shit out of this guy. Barry Windham was blown up merely from selling.
Yeah.
Like, he didn't even have to do anything except get chopped repeatedly, eye gouged, fish hooked, kicked in the balls multiple times. He's fucking laying there like he's about to have a heart attack. Flair's just completely on fire and the place is going nuts. Send out the geeks. Horsemen come down, destroy them. This was incredible. Flair gave him such a beating.
It was glorious. And it went like 5 minutes.
And you know, Flair hates being a babyface.
Yeah.
Like, Flair, all he wants is to be a heel, but he is the most unbelievably great babyface.
The best part about the beatdown was the joy in which Arn Anderson stomped on Vincent again and again and again.
Yes, B-teamers kept hitting the ring only to be foiled by Horsemen. It was Flair winning for seriously like 5 minutes, just a massacre, just a mauling. And then guys started to run in. Eventually, they all started moving to the back, where security, and I can only assume because they were employed by Eric Bischoff, they maced and handcuffed the Horsemen. While this is going on, Flair cut his other great promo on the show in the ring. He's going off about how Bischoff tried to shit-can his career, did not get bleeped. He said Reed had told him to beat Bischoff's ass. He made Reed promise every day he would never quit, which was very sad to hear. And then he says, he has moved on to Bischoff kissing his wife. You kissed my wife, you no good rotten bastard.
He's delivered it with such
You've
fury.
never heard a man so happy to say bastard.
Oh, man. It was like Owen Hart saying ass.
It was. So Bischoff appears on stage. Flair immediately charges.
Now, hold on. Don't gloss over this. Flair is cutting like the greatest promo of all time. He's so angry. He's crying. He's so mad. He's ready to kill Eric Bischoff. And Bischoff comes out on the ramp. And as a viewer, I'm like, you're the dumbest fucking guy I've ever seen in my life. He's going to fucking kill you. And sure enough, Flair sprints after to kill him. And Doug Dillinger and the crew is there to form a human wall and stop Ric Flair. And Bischoff is mocking this guy, and they're cuffing Flair, and Flair's screaming, my wrists! God damn it! And he's jumping up and down and screaming, and he's threatening to kill Eric Bischoff. And it was like, as much as I love Vince McMahon and Steve Austin, okay? They are an all-time great pairing. But it's in a different way. It's a little more comedic.
Yes.
Like, Vince is a comic book villain. Steve Austin kicks his ass every single solitary week. It's never not funny. It's never not entertaining. It's wonderful. This is totally different. Ric Flair is the greatest babyface I had ever seen on this show. And Eric Bischoff was like the greatest heel that I'd ever seen. In the sense of, I so badly... Like, as a viewer, okay, I know it's fake. I was so mad when Doug Dillinger and the crew stepped out and stopped Ric Flair. I was so angry. I was begging for Flair to get his hands on this guy and give him the beating that he had given Barry Windham. And when it was prevented, I was like, Starcade.
Where's my cable bill?
I must watch this on the network like right now. Now, if you know what happens... I mean,
don't pay to see it.
It's fucking WCW, everybody. It's all you need to know. But still, like, it was so great. I needed to see Ric Flair get his hands on this guy.
It's vital.
This is perfect professional wrestling right here. In the middle of this shit show.
Because Flair's the best.
And Bischoff.
And Bischoff's the best. Yeah, this is unbelievably awesome. And like you say, if I wasn't spoiled by 19 years of knowledge, didn't know what I was in for, I would be in a hurry. I would be in a hurry to pay to watch this.
Well, you know, part of the problem is I think a lot of people were in a hurry to purchase it, and their grand disappointment over the next 2 weeks is the beginning of the end for this. Actually, not the beginning of the end. It's the next step in the end of this godforsaken
It's the
company.
latest beginning of the end.
I honestly cannot do justice to how great these two guys were. They played their roles perfectly.
Booker T versus Jerry Flynn.
That's a follow-up.
That's a follow-up. Here's all I got to say about this match. Jerry Flynn got hairy. He didn't used to be hairy. He's hairy now.
What I got out of this was, first off, this crowd, it's going to take years for them to recover from the last segment. And the announcers spoke not one word about this match until the match ended, at which point they admitted, We didn't talk about this, and we don't care. All right.
So we had an amazingly great segment. We had a nothing match, and now it's time for some classic WCW stupidity.
Oh, you don't even know.
Kenny Chaos versus Lex Luger. So they're doing a match. It's not very good. But everyone loves Luger, so it's going to be okay. In the middle of this, by the way, the announcers begin to ask, hey, isn't Kenny Chaos still technically one half of the World Tag Team Champions? Because he defended it with Rick the week before Judy Bagwell came out, and the belts haven't been seen since. So as far as anyone knows, Kenny Chaos and Rick Steiner are still the World Tag Team Champions. Which begs the question, why did in all seriousness, why did they bother having tag team titles? Ever since Sting and Giant were already enemies when they won them and then split up, they've been useless. Beyond useless. A waste of time. Now, Lex is about to win with the torture rack. Everyone's going crazy because they love Lex's torture rack. Out comes Robbie Rage with his arm in some kind of contraption. So Chaos is going to lose anyway, but Robbie Rage has to distract him, so he loses more. And Lex hits him from behind and puts him in the torture rack and wins. Couldn't just have Lex win. You needed this distraction finish by a guy with one arm. So then Rage and Chaos bicker. High voltage explodes, and we're supposed to care.
What happened here? For those of you that just need a simple capsule explanation for what we just saw, Lex Luger was the backdrop for the beginning of a Rage versus Chaos program.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
What?
Yes.
Are you fucking kidding me? Lex Luger was the third wheel here.
Yeah. He was a prop. He was a plot device. He was there to give other characters motivation.
See, those two are so big, they needed another big guy in there to make them look not so big. So they chose Luger. That's the only thing I got.
According to Wikipedia here, Judy Bagwell never officially a tag team champion. They only list the team of Rick Steiner and Chaos, and then the belts are vacated.
Wait, they're going to get Kenny Chaos to lay down for somebody?
Apparently not. Rick was injured, so...
Why did they... This has to be the worst tag team division of all time.
Oh, yeah.
The past year of WCW.
Well, I know. I mean, we'd have to go through the Impact shows, but this is way up there.
It's funny, too, because they have a lot of tag teams.
Not anymore, they don't. Hell broke up.
Yes, but they have Harlem Heat, but they're broke up.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Steiners broke up. Outsiders broke up.
Okay, I see what you're saying.
His point is they all broke up.
Yeah.
Yeah. They have the makings of a good tag team division, though.
Well, they had 300 guys, whatever it was, on roster.
Yeah.
Anyway, Conan comes out.
Oh, amateur hour here.
He begins to go to promo running down Alex Wright when Disco Inferno arrives in a Wolfpack t-shirt. Conan says, you just bought your shirt at the merch stand and put it on. You can't call yourself part of the Wolfpack. Disco said, fine.
Man, talk about a way to bury sales of that shirt. All of you who think you're in the Wolfpack when you buy one of our shirts, you're not. It's just merch.
Disco says, fine, we'll go talk to Nash after the match. I will prove I'm in the Wolfpack. And then began Conan versus Alex Wright.
This was so bad.
Well, I mean, it wasn't as bad as the opener.
Oh,
it wasn't.
no.
I'm sorry, it wasn't as long as the opener.
It was not as boring as the opener.
Yeah.
It went faster. If you wanted to say it was more fun than the opener, I might even accept that. But it was much, much worse than the opener. I mean, it's just garden variety bad, and Conan gets blown up immediately as always. And then Conan is down on the mat, just huffing and puffing for air, and Alex is like, shit, I gotta put a hold on this guy. I'm gonna try a leg grapevine. He used the worst leg grapevine and toe hold there's ever been. Hulk Hogan's figure 4 was much better than this. Zach Gowen could have done a better leg grapevine than this. I think actual grapes could have done a better leg grapevine than this.
Well, they have experience.
This was so bad. So then, eventually Conan fires up. It's time for his comeback. But he's still blown up. So he does like 2 moves. Then he has to go to an arm hold. He's got him in the arm hold, gasping for air, eyes bugging out. There are boring chants during the comeback. which I'm sure at some point I've seen before, but
I don't think so.
it's few and far between. This goes on for a while. Conan eventually, gradually, very, very slowly puts on a tequila sunrise and wins. This was significantly worse than anything at Clash of Champions. This was so bad.
I love that they're doing a storyline where Alex Wright's losing his mind afterwards and throwing a tantrum because he lost from a submission. It's not like the guy can argue a fast count or my foot was under the ropes or whatever. He was submitted in the middle of the ring, yet he's angry. Stomps around.
This is the least of our worries.
Throws a fit.
He was probably just embarrassed.
I don't know. I was pretty mad about it.
He was probably mad about how bad the match was.
Oh, get out of here.
So Jericho runs out and attacks Conan, puts the TV belt across his face, and does a quebrada onto it. There you go. So then Disco Inferno comes out. He says, I will prove I'm in the Wolfpack. I demand someone from NWO Hollywood come out so I can beat them and prove I am Wolfpack worthy.
And he said, maybe Horace.
He did say maybe Horace. He did not get Horace. He got the Giant. And so we got Big Fat Giant working over Disco Inferno in what had to be the longest 3 minutes of my life.
You know, I was mad initially, but I mean, they are building up to Giant versus DDP. But like, Giant is about to leave. He's
Yes.
on his way out.
Yes.
And he just smashes and destroys the Disco Inferno.
Not to mention that, he got pyro on the way out.
I had some buffering problems this week. It was more during Raw. I thought they were back here, but no. Giant was just moving that slowly. I thought my screen had frozen. Eventually, he puts Disco on the top rope and choke slams him down and pins him. And then he cuts a promo that may have been more boring than the match. And Paige appears in the crowd. And they call each other fathead for a while. And that was it.
Yeah. Cool.
Main event. Goldberg versus Scott Hall. They wrestled for a minute. Nash pulled Hall out of the ring. Bam Bam attacked Goldberg for the DQ, and that was that.
Yeah. Sweet.
The only good thing about it is Goldberg's music hit and the crowd woke up. The crowd was going ape during this 2.5 minute match. But there wasn't anything to it.
I wrote complete shit, so apparently I didn't think it was that great.
It wasn't that great.
I'm not saying watching it on TV. I'm saying the crowd was
They
losing their
couldn't even
minds.
let Goldberg win his final match before losing to Kevin Nash.
Yeah, you're
like,
right.
you couldn't even
They had to
beat
protect Scott Hall.
Scott Hall. Jesus Christ. This show sucks. It's the worst show I've ever seen. Again, the only redeeming thing on the show is Ric Flair and Eric Bischoff.
So I do have the list of finishes.
Oh,
Yes.
I won't lie. It's boring this week. But I guess tradition holds that until these shows are both good and both logically booked at the same time, we will continue to list the finishes on each show for comparison's sake. You do to run in 2 minutes.
Thank you for the loud sneeze in the middle of that,
I
Craig.
apologize. I tried to do it off mic, but it didn't work.
There you go, everybody. It just proves that clean finishes do not necessarily equal good show.
That is for sure. That is for sure.